Collapses. Games in which teams had in hand and let slip away. That's what we're talking about today. I took a look back at how many of these games the Twins had in 2022 and, was pretty shocked. Even though I think if you paid a close attention to the team, they let quite a few games slip from their fingers. I was still pretty surprised by these results. Let's get right into it. So here's a win expectancy chart, and that's what we're talking about this. That's how we're kind of framing this conversation is around win expectancy. I'm considering a collapse any time in which the Twins had an 80-plus win expectancy and went on to lose. This game from June 22nd with Cleveland at Target Field was the biggest collapse of the year. The Twins had a 98% win expectancy in this one and lost. So this one was the one that hurt the most, but just kind of giving you some more information on that. These could be in any inning in which the Twins reached 80%. Some of these were as early as the third, fourth inning. Didn't matter. I didn't really kind of keep it down to late inning collapses. And they had some early ones because this team was just really weird. The offense was scoring so many more runs early and then being shut out late. And then, of course, the bullpen faltered quite often. So here is a list of all 16 of these collapses in which the Twins had at least an 80% win expectancy and ended up losing. The inning in which they peaked, the end result, the opponent, and then the losing pitcher. Now, sometimes the guy who gets the loss wasn't the guy who gave it the most damage, but so take that with a grain of salt. And then here we're going to take a look, and I just highlighted each of the dates in which they had one of these collapses, and that was interesting because it unveiled really the turning point of the season for them. And, it happened to coincide with Wes Johnson's departure pretty much. But from June 21st to July 9th, they had 8 collapses in a 19-game stretch. They still were up 3.5 games in the Central. They actually gained ground over that stretch because they were 9-10. So they were 9-10, but 8 of those 10 losses were collapses. Just a crazy stretch for them. And it really was a turning point of the season. We'll talk more about that in a sec. Is that high? Look at Cleveland. This is all of their collapses. Cleveland had 8 collapses. The Twins had 16 of these games where they had an 80-plus win expectancy and lost. Cleveland with 8. But that was a very solid team with a very good bullpen. Is that unusual? I didn't have time to really get a league average or look at all teams, so I kind of just cherry-picked the Giants as the most mid-team I could. 500 team. They actually have a bad bullpen WPA as well, so I was kind of expecting, hey, maybe they'll be closer to the Twins. No, they had 9 collapses. Twins 16, Guardians 8, the Giants 9. And if we break this down further, if you don't think 80, maybe that's not high enough. If we bump it up to 85, it gets even just as ridiculous. And up to 90, the Twins have as many as Cleveland and the Giants combined. So this was a huge problem. We weren't seeing things. It wasn't something where, you play 162 games, you're going to have a lot of these types of losses. No, this was cruel and unusual to be a Twins fan enduring these games and watching this team, especially in that stretch from late June to early July. Again, they had 8 collapses in a 19-game stretch in that stretch. The same number of total collapses that Cleveland had in the entire season. That is remarkable. They were 48-40 coming into that stretch, and then 30-44 after that. An 88 win pace versus a 96 loss pace. So there you have it. Pretty amazing, to be honest. Just being honest, pretty amazing, pretty depressing how many games this team blew that they had pretty well in hand. 7 of the 16 to Cleveland. Oh, by the way, almost half of these games that they had in hand that they blew were to the Guardians. Just a killer. That still wasn't even enough to make up the difference in the division, but still just a huge gut punch. And, a reason why this season didn't go as we had all hoped, and that's kind of a topic of conversation we're going to pivot to, certainly heading into the off season here is how can the Twins get better? How can they fix things? What are the things that need to get fixed? And this certainly is one of them. Carlos Correa is at the focal point of the off season right now, but they've got to figure out a way to fix this as well. Thanks for checking this out. Thank you to all the members, especially these channel members here. Just recorded a members-only video today talking about these cards and some of the other memorabilia I've got. Much more to come. We'll talk again soon. Thank you.